Mother was ironing Father's good shirts in the living room. I sat next to her. There was a big roar as an airplane flew right over our house. "It's so low. It makes me nervous," she said. Just then,
I was climbing a tree. Just at that moment, I was jumping from the tree onto the roof, sort of in between both.
A dragonfly flitted in front of me and stopped in front of me. I stood up, took my cap in my hand, and was about to catch the dragonfly when...
the jobs we students were assigned to had become mostly farm work, and our faces and hands were becoming deeply tanned. We girls disliked this, and each morning we would stand before the mirror in the washroom, wrapping towels around our necks and putting on our straw hats. On the morning of August 6th, I stood in front of the mirror, looking at myself as usual, when...
In an instant, Hiroshima lost everything, and the world entered the age of nuclear weapons and opened up a Pandora's box to an unknown and frightening future. Miraculously, I survived that day because shortly before I had been evacuated to my mother's hometown. 2 days later, with my grandmother, I went to see what had once been my home. The whole town had disappeared as if by magic. The Prefectural Industrial Promotion Hall, though badly damaged, was still partly standing. It had been the proud symbol of Hiroshima. Our house should have been right next to it, but nothing remained. My grandmother and I, holding on to each other's hands, entered the burned-out rubble. We could still feel the remaining heat from the bomb rising through our feet. Going through the rubble and the burnt-out grounds, a terrible smell rose every time I picked up a piece of something off the ground. I think perhaps this is what they say is the radioactive residual gas unique to atomic bombs. Later on in life, whenever I smelled any chemicals or anything gasoline-related, it would bring back memories of that smell. It was really powerful. And from that night on, the thought of it would make me nauseous at times. The artists Iri and Toshi Maruki, who visited Hiroshima 3 days later, sketched what they saw. For the next decade, they continued to draw the tragic scenes of Hiroshima. For 70 years since the end of the war, people have told their stories through journals, letters, and drawings about this living hell they survived.
I saw some girls all pitifully burned from head to toe. "Water! We want a drink of water!" they cried, and suddenly began drinking the dirty water from the river. "You'll die if you drink that water!" someone warned them from the bridge. One of the girls, obviously suffering terribly, jumped into the river screaming, "The faster I die, the better!"
A mother, clasping her child to her bosom, ran by us, screaming as if she had gone mad. She was stark naked and burned and swollen all over. Her baby had already died of burns and injuries. There were school children and women who had died, their dark purple bloated bodies floating in the water in the ditches and emergency water tanks by the road. There were people with only their heads sticking out of the wreckage of houses, calling out for help. It did not seem real. It was something out of hell.
I heard Mother calling me, "Eiko-chan! Eiko-chan, help! Help!" I rushed over to where I had heard my mother's voice. "Mother, where are you?" I got closer to her voice. Under the fallen roof, Mother was tapping on something that sounded like tin, but her voice gradually became fainter and fainter. "Mom, I can't get you out! The big roof and the beams!" Mother's voice faded away, and the tapping sound stopped, too.
It was right above our town that the atomic bomb exploded. On that day, ordinary people were living out their normal lives. And without almost any warning, an atomic bomb was dropped on them. How can we communicate the horror of the atomic bomb without restoring what was taken away? And that is what has motivated me in doing this work. As an independent filmmaker for 20 years, I dedicated myself to restoring my hometown, the Hypo Center. Through collecting testimonies from residents who had survived miraculously, the interior of each house was restored in great detail using computer graphics. It may have been an impossible dream, but I did not want to miss anything, not a single item in the room. One by one, I created each scene of everyday life that was ingrained in my memory.
懐かしいね、これ。3月ここへ座ってね。涙が出ます。ね、私4年おりましたからね、伊勢に。だって嬉しいですよね、この年になってね、昔おったところでこうしてね、話ができたり見せてもらった伊勢の家をね、あれが懐かしいです。はい。
From around the area where Sarogakucho and Saikumachi intersect, towards the west, was the Industrial Promotion Hall, which stood out clearly. Houses with latticed doors and glass doors, narrow streets and the edges of courtyards could be seen from between the black-tiled roofs. A drying rack was up on the roof, known back then as a hidana. On the streets were traditional wagons and side carts. Near the river, on the other side, was downtown Nakajima. On the corner of Aoi Bridge towards the east could be found a sportswear shop, a photographer, a bicycle wholesaler, and a few inns. Apparently, no actors and craftsmen resided in this area during the Edo period, and no music could often be heard. There was also a temple nearby, which would ring its bells each morning and evening. Sarugakucho Street had varying sides to it, depending on the season and time of day.
そうでしたね。賑やかでみんなが仲がいいいうあれでしたね。どこのうち行っても上がって騒ぐいうあれでしたね。子供同士が上がるもんですからね、みんな行って。
いい町でした。そして典型的な下町でしたね。はい。それから隣近所いうのがありましたね。あれらと皆親戚よりは深い付き合いをするような町だったんです。
A grocery store warmly known to local residents as Tanaka's Vegetables. At the back of the shop was the living room, with somebody always around to serve customers. In the kitchen, which was a renovated storehouse, were the cooking area, sink, and stove. The sound of crickets could often be heard.
通称八百屋でね、それで何でもあるね、酒もあるし氷もあるしね、それから今の七輪やら茶碗やら今のどういうか雪平かやねやな。
The day before, lunch together as a family of 5 turned out to be their last. On that day, Mr. Tanaka had gone out of town and thus survived. The afternoon following the atomic bomb attack, he discovered the remains of his wife and baby son. Their bones were lying close together. Early morning, the sound of a large cart carrying miso could be heard on the street, the Okamoto Miso store.
大豆を炊く匂いがしますし、そして麹をしますと麹のプンとした匂いがしましてね、お友達が来ると「ああいい匂い」って言われました。はい。家がやっぱり商家で広くなかったですからね、奥が深いんですよ。それからあとは卸に持っていく小さい樽があるんですよ。一貫とかなんとかそんな樽がたくさん並んでましたし、ご近所の方がいらっしゃると皆さんね今みたいなでね器を持ちましてでおはけしてました。はい。
Hiroko Nagaki was a student at the time. Her parents and older sister died in the bombing. She held a funeral service for them on her own. The memorable Industrial Promotion Hall. It was built at the beginning of the Taisho period, in between our house and the Motoyasu River. The building was designed by the Czech architect Jan Letzel. Letzel, out of his respect for Japanese culture, originally wished to construct the building facing west, the direction of heaven and Buddhism. He intended it to face Miyajima and Itsukushima Shrine. I am currently working on recreating the area virtually with the computer, looking at it from this point. This is what remains of the marble column. And in the CG, you can see where the guard post was. Everyone thinks this dome is a perfect sphere. But actually, the shape is elliptical. You could only tell if you were playing here. an ellipse, wide horizontally from east to west, not a circle. Right around here was a set of stairs leading to the mezzanine, and we kids would play around using the handrail as a slide. Those who were good at it would slide down head first, but beginners would go feet first because it was scary. You would slide right down. The handrail went all the way up to the end, just the handrail. Therefore, those who were really good would slide down all the way from the top. It must have felt good, but if you were to lose balance even just slightly, you'd fall down here. So it was a dangerous way to play.
日本貿易振興株式会社やったの。支店長とその下と6人ぐらいか7人だったと思う。広島支店だからね。ほんで自分が一人いるからね、一人女の人タイプライターの人がおってけね、それにタイプになろうってね、3階から上は上がったらいけんで上がらせてもらえんかった。いっぺんだけね、眺めてもいいよって上がってもいい言われていっぺん上がりました。それは綺麗でしたよ。やっぱり川があってね、向こうが全部見えるけね。
Jan Letzel, who designed the Industrial Promotion Hall, passed away without ever knowing of its destruction by the atomic bomb. On that day, 50 people were working in the hall. None of them survived. The house I grew up in was located right near the hall. Around here is where the house once stood. This is Sarugakucho Street, and the front of my house was around here. You opened the lettuce door to enter, and you found the dirt floor entrance. It was rather large, and then the front room, which would have been around here. It had a pendulum clock. After the front room was what we called the center room, probably around here. This is where we had family time, and it was also where the boxed staircase was leading upstairs to the mezzanine floor. I would always find my younger brother's wooden horse there. And around here was the main room. First of all, the Buddha's altar, and in the alcove, my father's sword was always on display. Exiting from there, you would find a large garden right here. Looking to the right, it's destroyed now, but back then, you would see the splendid Industrial Promotion Hall. From here, the hall almost seemed like it was painted on a huge folding screen. Going through the garden, there you would find the separate living quarters and the storehouse. Around here is where the storehouse was located. If you take a look at the photograph taken right after the explosion, you can see what remains, just a heap of earth. Around there is where it was. Over there was located the kitchen. In the kitchen was the well and hearth, exactly as had been during the Edo period. I imagine on that day, at that moment, my mother and younger brother died on that spot. I still wonder at times if at the least they died without suffering.
世界遺産になったから掘り起こすこともできない。ちょうどこの辺りやね。
My film, Hypocenter Restoration, was broadcast at the United Nations and in California in May 2010.
そういったものの卸問屋をしておりました。奥の方に、こちらの方に倉庫がありました。銅像の倉庫でした。
And when you see the reconstruction in this film, does it bring back these childhood memories? Does it look like it did when you were a child?
Never.
What the atomic bomb destroyed was culture, nurtured and established throughout the history of Hiroshima and the daily lives of the people. I realized that such things cannot be restored, even by using the most advanced technology. The Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum still receives drawings of the tragedy to this day, made by people who suffered from the atomic bomb attack.
もうあれ見たらもう地獄ですね。あら、これが地獄いうかの思ったんですよ。私はもう死んだろう思って。ほいたらね、前を見られて川ですけどね、川に馬が流れたり人間が流れたりしよるんですよ。
浅野の線って今の出家園の池の縁には隙間もなしにやけどの怪我人が並んで水を飲みふけておりました。翌日見ましたら同じように並んでみんな死んでおりました。この池の縁が人生の最終到達点だったのです。
Three junior high school boys, probably good friends, were sitting down and couldn't move. The boy in the middle had caught his own eyeballs, which had popped out in his left hand. I called out to them to run, but they said they couldn't walk anymore. So I went past them, and from behind I heard one cry, "Mother!"
She was talking on the phone. What was found in the burned rubble was her daughter's white wrist bone still holding the receiver. There is no mistake, a human was there. There had been a life.
もうそれ見るのも恐ろしいような怪我人、皮膚がもうボロ切れの、背中が真っ赤っかなような人とか、目にこうなんか突き刺さったような人とか、血がだらだら流れる人が。
私髪の毛が抜けたんです。左が半分で、こうやったらボロボロボロっと髪が毛がなくって、あらと思ったんですね。そしてから顔がやけどしたんでしょうね。なかなか目が開かないんです。
Blisters caused by the burns, filled with pus and blood. There were people with their heads swollen so big they looked like balloons. Their eyes, mouths, and noses as thin as string. Whether man or woman, young or old, You could not even tell.
ああ、やけどしてこの耳が溶けてこうぶら下がったんです。うわー、見ないように見ないようにした。爆風で皮が落ちとったのに、なんとまあ黒焦げになってね、ほんでお腹がボーッと膨れて、膨張でね、やけどで兵隊さんが2人降りてきて、死んだ人のところへ行って、この手と足を持って2人でこう持ち上げようとですね。そうするとこの皮膚がずるっとむけるんですね。それで下げられませんから、トラック行ってもう3人呼んできて、今度は両手で2人、両足に2人、頭が重たいですからね、今度手を入れてトラックへ放り込むんで、ダシャンと。それはもう本当この世の出来事とは思われませんでしたね。
Blistering burns. Burns swollen with water like a rubber balloon. Burns with skin dangling down. Burns that had caused a face to become unrecognizable. Burned people were begging for water, unable to roll over. My heart broke for everybody. It wasn't that we didn't want to help. We were under orders and could not help. Please forgive us.
こんなのまあ見るとね、後で語ろうと言ってもなかなか語れるもんじゃないし、それでまあ絵にもしたわけですけどもね。本当はね、もっともっとひどかったかもしれない。書き表せませんでしたよね。
たくさんの人たちが狂ってますね。叫んでますね。とってもかわいそうで見ていられない。
ブルーの炎なんです。人間内臓を焼けて、あそこもあそこもあそこも下敷きで焼けた人がポロポロポロポロ、これくらいの炎で、
その火のポポポポポポ一面が品が焼ける、火のというの本当ポッポッポッポッポッポ言うんですね。人間が真っ黒のもうドロドロのやけどで、女の人は頭の髪の毛ばっとみんな逆立ちになって、みんなズルズルに焼けただれたね皮膚がこうぶら下がってね、
助けて助けてでも助けるもんがおらんわけよね。ほんでとうとうそこの旦那がね、なた持って足首を切ってね連れて逃げようちゃったかね。
赤黒く手はぶら下がって、もうボロボロの服を着て焼けただれた人たちがゾロゾロゾロゾロ押し寄せてくるんですよ。それで防火用水が各家にあったんですけど、みんな防火用水の中にこう暑いから首を突っ込んで、ああいう場所もこう避けて死体が流れたりしてるのが見えたですね。
Then black rain started to fall. Nobody knew it contained dangerous radiation.
赤になり白になり黒になりむくむくむくむく、全然音がしなくて、音がしないまま頭の上でむくむくむくむくむくむく雲が舞ってたんですよね。
雨が降ったんです。黒い雨です。でそれを飲んでね、ほっとしてね、その黒い雨を飲んでみんなバタバタと死んでいきましたよね。私もそのまま意識をなくしたんです。
みんな動けないから道路に倒れたまんま黒い雨に打たれてしまって、で私たちも肩やら足の方も黒い雨にね打たれてしまって、で3日間ぐらい取れませんでした。
Black thunderclouds appeared in the sky, and big drops of black rain came falling down. It's gasoline! They'll come and light it! A man shouted. I pressed my wet jacket to my nose, but I couldn't smell any gasoline.
Hiroshima right before the atomic bomb attack, with Aioi Bridge located in the center as the starting point. The downtown area was restored using computer graphic images in a clockwise manner from east to south. 7 rivers flow toward the Seto Inland Sea and Hiroshima Bay, giving the city a refreshing atmosphere with lots of greenery. The Moromachi district, located toward the northwest from Aioi Bridge, was known for its army facilities, but in reality, a large number of non-combatants resided there. The Hiroshima Army Hospital especially, despite the fact that it suffered a devastating number of deaths, left few records behind. Many soldiers that had barely made it back from the battlefields, injured or sick, were being treated and undergoing treatment. Starting with medics, doctors, nurses, and assisting female students, as well as visiting families from around the nation, a total of 10,000 people, unrelated to the actual fighting, were also gathered here. Furthermore, soldiers recruited from all over Western Japan had been staying in temporary barracks and open land in order to receive basic training. Their families who had come to say farewell were also staying in the city. Their number is not counted among those missing in the atomic bomb casualty statistics. On one corner of the military facilities, there was a school run by the Army, a primary school and kindergarten. It happened to be a normal school day. This school did not necessarily stress military education and was a completely normal school in that sense. The higher grades had already been evacuated, leaving a large number of lower grades and kindergarten children among the victims. The school atmosphere was orderly, and the children that had just enrolled in April were brimming with hope and energy. Straight after the explosion, their innocent bodies were scattered on the grounds surrounding the school building, revealing the utmost tragedy.
当時、兵隊さんが防空のために屋根に上がって飛行機をこう監視したりしてましたけどね、その兵隊さんの白骨ですね、燃えたお骨の中へ子供たちの、僕たちの同級生の骨が同心円状にこうなってありました。おそらくつむじ風が起こったんでしょうね、運動場の中で。
In this district, soldiers from the American Air Force were also among those killed by the bomb. Soldiers who had parachuted from 2 U.S. military aircraft that had been shot down were being interrogated at police headquarters. According to witnesses questioned immediately afterwards, their bodies were found on the north side of the Industrial Promotion Hall. It depicts the irony, foolishness, and cruelty of war, which included even Americans in the atomic bomb attack. 1 kilometer to the west of the hypocenter was a geisha district. Back then, it was one of the largest in Western Japan. Geisha houses, community offices, red light districts, along with related restaurants, theaters, and dance halls. Indeed, a town with a bewitching, enchanting atmosphere. It was also a place where sophisticated adults would come to relax and cultivate traditional culture. Geishas and courtesans underwent training in dancing, music, tea ceremony, flower arrangement, poetry, and calligraphy. It is estimated that over 1,000 people died there. No official record remains, partly due to discrimination for that line of work. A graveyard for the nameless deceased accommodates the remains of a few of them, reminding us of their existence. Because of their nocturnal jobs, they were caught in their sleep by the atomic bomb and were all killed at the same time. That distress and humiliation cannot be ignored.
そういう料亭だとかお茶屋さんだとかいろんなところに働いておられた方で亡くなられた方もたくさんおられる。そういう名もない方たちのお骨を納めさせてくれということで多くの方々が犠牲になられたことを我々はしっかり受け止めて忘れずに後世につないでいく平和のありがたさをつないでいく。
鍵盤とかの芸者の集まりのとこはなんか詰め所みたいなとこがあったし、まあ狭い町でのみんないや一家みんな死んだとかいやみんな誰かがみんな死んどってんじゃ。なんとも言えんこの仏教の仏の教えじゃないが諸行無常ですよほんま。
Children before the atomic bomb attack, drawn by Goro Shikoku, an artist from Hiroshima. Playing scary games, playing with marbles, catching cicadas, and playing chase along the rooftops. Bathing in the river, playing so-called triangle baseball along the riverbank. The outfields were defended in the river. Ramnachin, a game where marbles were flicked by a finger into a hole, and Pachin, a card game with various characters. There was also the Inoko Festival, where rice cakes were savored. Children were always playing outside. The atomic bomb took away everything from the children. Many children who had been evacuated away from Hiroshima and separated from their families were left behind. Orphan children roamed around the burnt-out city. A huge number of Hiroshima's children were left as orphans and were forced to survive on their own. Here are a few photographs obtained from the U.S. National Archives and Records Administration in 2007 on my fourth research visit there. Records of 2 years after the atomic bomb attack. The purpose of these photographs was obviously to record the effects of a nuclear bomb on the human body. Many girls were the unfortunate subjects of these photographs. When I saw them, it was hard to hold back my tears. Children left behind lived lives terrorized by the fear of after effects and prejudice from society.
自分で生きにゃいけんいうのが辛かったですね。原爆のことを聞かれたりのが大嫌いなんです。思い出したくない。それと今苦労されたですねいうね言葉がね一番答えるんです。
私なんか胸にやけどしてこれ見てください。これだけのケロイドですよ。皆勤賞。何が苦しかった悲しかったってやけどした痛さよりも兄がいなくなったこと、私を可愛がってくれてる人がいっぺんにいなくなったこと。
ケロイドがこんなひどいですからね、こんなに。でこれ手術してもらったんです。幅が広かったから。20針から縫ってね、幅を狭くして、でここ結婚話が出た時にあれが一番辛かったですね。
結婚という時に
あの時広島におった者は皆放射能に汚染されていると。あんたと結婚させたら障害を持った子が生まれると言ってね、断られたんです。
毎日が辛いわけだけど、全部覚えておれないんですよね。覚えていたら生きていけないんじゃないかな。脳がそういうふうに作られているんじゃないかと思います。
I was also orphaned by the atomic bomb. My father, mother, and brother all lost their lives to the bomb. The only family member remaining was my grandmother. Even she, as a result of the after effects of the bomb and the difficult life that followed, died 9 years later. And so here I am alone in Hiroshima. I was passed on from relative to relative or to an acquaintance, one after another. It was painful and the most difficult time for me. My grandmother was a strong person, but she was crying behind closed doors. But she only ever cried when she was by herself. I guess she convinced herself that she had to act strong in front of me. The only grown-up that I trusted was my grandmother. Nowadays, it's hard to imagine, but back then, children and the elderly were treated with prejudice, with much contempt. Actually went through that terrible ordeal in Hiroshima. And at the time, that alone was reason to be an outcast. I became literally all alone. For the rest of my life, I was by myself. Toshio Nakamori. He too was orphaned by the bomb and lost his parents and was taken in by his grandmother. Perhaps because of our similar circumstances, he would call me his older brother and trusted me like a real sibling. We were both weak and disadvantaged. The fact that an elderly person and a child had survived was beyond imagination. We met again a few years ago. At the time, he had developed cancer and also suffered symptoms of depression and mania, and therefore needed to be kept on close watch. He was sustained only by a meager pension and health benefits for atomic bomb survivors. Following the war, my friend had lived without ever having a family. His deep loneliness led to a mental breakdown, preventing him from getting a proper job or having a family. He never knew the joy of having children.
I whisper, "Mommy," or "Daddy," but they don't answer. I feel sad and envy my friends who have parents. This is because of the war. Hiroshima was destroyed because of the war. I hate war. I hate fighting.
本当に広島の温かい町も全てを持っていかれて、どう言って表現していいんでしょうか。辛いことばっかり思い出しますしね。
建物が密集して家が建て込んだところが一瞬でしてなくなって、それが皆なくなったんだってね。家族を失ってもうぺしゃんこになってね、友達も兄弟も皆なくなったんだって、親も兄弟もなくなって友達もおらんようになったんだ。そういう人が ところだったんじゃっていうことをね知ってもらわなきゃいけないんです。
まあなんで原爆が落ちる前になんとかできんかったもんかしらんといまだに思いますがね。
あの爆弾は逃げるチャンスを与えない爆弾なんです。誰も生きてない。それは苦情じゃ最高持ちじゃ生きた人はいないじゃないですか。
原爆っていうものは何代も、私の主人も被爆者です。戦争そのものがあってはならない。
原子爆弾のような核のもの絶対に生きていけんのに、それがどうしてか思って本当に会うたもんでないと分からんのじゃ思いますよ。
何のも我々も罪もない人間をね定断して、何のためにね銃も何も持っとらん我々を殺さんにゃいけんのかと。
原爆がね落ちて戦争が終わったってみんな言われますけどね、私たちはそんなこと言われるとねもうとても許せないですね。ちょっと私たちにはむごいなと思いますよ。はい、
その原爆の辛さ、皆さんの辛さ、まだまだこの年になっても忘れることはできません。平和であってほしいと思います。二度とあってはいけません。戦争は嫌。それがやっぱりね、みんな知っとってないだけにね、言いときたいね。
From what I have learned over the years, there were perhaps over 250,000 people who lost their lives to the atomic bomb in Hiroshima. On top of that, the very building blocks of human life, such as family households, local communities, workplaces, tradition and culture, were all destroyed. Even those who survived the bomb were robbed of the very roots of their lives that followed the war. We must acknowledge this truth, that there are many human beings here who were unable to live full human lives. With this reality in front of us, we must once again continue to face the hateful tragedy of the atomic bomb and war. We, mankind, cannot afford to turn our eyes away. We must not forget that day.
Mother was ironing Father's good shirts in the living room. I sat next to her. There was a big roar as an airplane flew right over our house. "It's so low. It makes me nervous," she said. Just then,
I was climbing a tree. Just at that moment, I was jumping from the tree onto the roof, sort of in between both.
A dragonfly flitted.
It would bring back memories of that smell. It was really powerful. And from that night on, the thought of it would make me nauseous at times. The artists Iri and Toshi Maruki, who visited Hiroshima 3 days later, sketched what they saw. For the next decade, they continued to draw the tragic scenes of Hiroshima. For 70 years since the end of the war, people have told their stories through journals, letters, and drawings about this living hell they survived. Miraculously, I survived that day because shortly before I had been evacuated to my mother's hometown. 2 days later, with my grandmother, I went to see what had once been my home. The whole town had disappeared as if by magic. The Prefectural Industrial Promotion Hall, though badly damaged, was still partly standing. It had been the proud symbol of Hiroshima. Our house should have been right next to it, but nothing remained. My grandmother and I, holding on to each other's hands, entered the burned-out rubble. We could still feel the remaining heat from the bomb rising through our feet. Going through the rubble and the burnt-out grounds, a terrible smell rose every time I picked up a piece of something off the ground. I think perhaps this is what they say is the radioactive residual gas unique to atomic bombs. Later on in life, whenever I smelled any chemicals or anything gasoline-related
in front of me and stopped in front of me. I stood up, took my cap in my hand, and was about to catch the dragonfly when...
The jobs we students were assigned to had become mostly farm work, and our faces and hands were becoming deeply tanned. We girls disliked this, and each morning we would stand before the mirror in the washroom, wrapping towels around our necks and putting on our straw hats. On the morning of August 6th, I stood in front of the mirror, looking at myself as usual when...
In an instant, Hiroshima lost everything, and the world entered the age of nuclear weapons and opened up a Pandora's box to an unknown and frightening future.
I saw some girls all pitifully burned from head to toe. "Water! We want a drink of water!" they cried. and suddenly began drinking the dirty water from the river. "You'll die if you drink that water," someone warned them from the bridge. One of the girls, obviously suffering terribly, jumped into the river screaming, "The faster I die, the better!"
A mother, clasping her child to her bosom, ran by us, screaming as if she had gone mad. She was stark naked and burned and swollen all over. Her baby had already died of burns and injury.